Manchester United are moving, not slowly, not cautiously, but with genuine direction and real purpose. And right now, there is a lot happening around this football club that every supporter needs to understand clearly. Michael Carrick is staying. That is confirmed. Eduardo Camavinga is being linked. Matthijs de Ligt has gone under the knife. Kobbie Mainoo has opened up about nearly walking away. And the transfer market is already beginning to heat up around Old Trafford, with names, prices and battles for signatures that could define the next chapter of this club. Welcome to Marcus United Analyst. My name is Marcus, and today we are going deep into everything surrounding Manchester United right now. We are talking management, injuries, squad morale, transfer targets, and the hard financial reality of what this summer could look like. There is a lot to get through, so let's not waste any time. Here is what you need to understand before we go any further. Manchester United are at a crossroads. Michael Carrick has steadied the ship after a period of real turbulence at this club, but steadying the ship is not the same as steering it toward trophies. The decisions made this summer on recruitment, on coaching staff, on which players stay and which players go, will determine whether this is genuinely a new era or simply another cycle of disappointment. The stakes are enormous, and the details matter. Every name, every number, every quote from the people inside that dressing room tells you something about where this club is truly heading. If you want this level of analysis on every major Manchester United story, hit that subscribe button right now. Because we are not here to simply repeat headlines. We are here to break down what things actually mean for this football club. Let us get into it. Michael Carrick, confirmed as permanent manager. The first and most significant piece of news is this. Michael Carrick will remain at Manchester United as the permanent manager. This is now confirmed. It is not a rumour. It is not speculation. The direction has been clear internally for weeks, and the plan has been approved by Sir Jim Ratcliffe himself. The deal being discussed is either 2 years with the option to extend or directly 3 years. And critically, Carrick has said yes. There are no doubts on his side. He is ready to sign. Now let us think about what that actually means. Sir Jim Ratcliffe approving this appointment personally tells you something very important. This is not a desperate decision made out of panic. This is a calculated, deliberate choice made at the highest level of Manchester United's ownership structure. Ratcliffe is not a man who makes decisions lightly. The fact that he has personally backed Carrick signals institutional belief in this project. Carrick himself has been speaking publicly with real clarity about his ambitions for the club. His words were measured but direct. He spoke about aiming upward, about the beauty of competition, about the challenge of backing up achievements. He said clearly that for the players, for the squad, for the whole football club, the goal is to keep moving in a positive direction. And then he said something that I think is underrated. He said the closer you get to the top, the less room there is for progress. But progress is still what they are aiming for. That tells you the mindset of this manager. He is not looking for easy wins or comfortable mediocrity. He understands that improvement becomes harder as the standard rises. And he is embracing that challenge rather than avoiding it. Carrick also confirmed he will address the fans directly with a post-match speech on Sunday. He was clear about why. He said it is important because of the supporters and because of what this group has gone through together. He spoke about the connection between the players and the fans, about the individual moments in talks where that connection has been felt. He wants to stand in front of the supporters and thank them personally. That kind of leadership matters. That kind of emotional intelligence from a manager builds trust inside the dressing room and in the stands. Carrick understands the relationship between this club and its supporters, and he is choosing to honour it publicly. The recruitment of his coaching staff is also moving forward. It is now clear that Manchester United are prioritising a dedicated set-piece coach as a key addition to Carrick's backroom team. One name that is firmly under consideration is Andreas Jorgensen, who previously worked at the club during the 2024 to 2025 season and was held in very high regard internally. George Benson is currently working at Tottenham Hotspur under Thomas Frank's staff. But the situation is that he is viewed as a realistic candidate to return to Old Trafford if Manchester United push ahead with this role. Set-piece coaching is an area that has cost this club dearly in recent seasons. The decision to make it a dedicated, standalone position within the staff is a smart and serious one. Matthijs de Ligt and the World Cup blow. Now let us turn to one of the most painful stories surrounding Manchester United at this moment. Matthijs de Ligt will miss the World Cup. This is official and confirmed. The defender underwent back surgery and will not be available for the tournament. De Ligt released a personal statement. His words were honest and emotionally raw. He said that since November, he has done everything possible, pushing himself in every training session and exploring every option available to get back to playing football. He said that after 6 months of treatment and working hard to return, surgery was the only option left. He said he is disappointed that he could not help the team over the last 6 months, and that missing the World Cup is obviously deeply painful for him. But he also said something forward-looking. He said he remains as determined as ever to represent Manchester United and play in front of the supporters as soon as possible. Now, here is what the situation means from an analytical perspective. A player who has been battling through injury since November, who has explored every non-surgical option available, who has refused to take shortcuts, and who is still speaking about his desire to represent Manchester United with that level of hunger, is a player who cares deeply about being here. The concern from a Manchester United perspective is the long-term planning. If De Ligt has been unavailable since November, the defensive options throughout this period have had to adapt. The fact that Carrick's squad has continued to function and the manager is now being handed a permanent contract suggests the group has coped. But having a fully fit, fully committed De Ligt available for a full pre-season and a full campaign next year is something that genuinely strengthens the squad on paper. The World Cup loss is devastating for De Ligt personally. He mentioned that surgery was the final option after months of conservative treatment. That journey takes a mental and physical toll that should not be underestimated. How he comes back from this, how quickly he gets his fitness levels right, and how Carrick reintegrates him into the squad will be one of the key stories to follow as next season begins. The situation is complicated further by the injury update Carrick gave in his press conference about a player referred to simply as Case. Carrick described him as fantastic for the group, someone who has given everything knowing his time at the club is coming to an end. He said the certainty of the situation actually helps the player give absolutely everything. He praised the professionalism of this individual and said the entire staff fully supports him. This is the kind of culture that actually builds winning environments. A manager who speaks about a departing player with that level of respect and care, and who creates a situation where that player remains fully invested until the very end, is a manager who understands people. Kobbie, Mainoo and the near exit, this is one of the most revealing storylines to emerge from the Manchester United dressing room in recent times. Kobbie Mainoo has spoken publicly and with remarkable honesty about the period when he was not playing regularly under Ruben Amorim. Let me take you through what he actually said. When asked if he felt Amorim left him out because he did not see him as a fit for his system, Mainoo did not dodge the question. He said directly that when there are new managers, they have their way of playing, and if they think you do not fit, then you do not fit. He said all he could do was work and train and try to show the manager something different. He then went further. He acknowledged that going from playing nearly every game under one manager to not playing as often under another is always going to be a difficult adjustment. But then he said something genuinely important. He said it was good for him in terms of learning about himself, about the game, and about patience, but how to schedule his life, how to train, how to structure his routines. And then he said the hardest part, he said it is difficult when you do not even get to come on as a substitute. But his family and friends helped him see the light at the end of the tunnel. They told him it would come back around. So he just had to be patient. Now think about that for a moment. This is a young player who went from being one of the most exciting midfielders in the Premier League under one manager to barely featuring under the next. That kind of experience can break young footballers. It can damage confidence irreparably. It can push talented players out of big clubs prematurely. But Mainoo did not collapse. He processed it, he grew from it, and when asked directly whether he was close to leaving Manchester United during this difficult period, his answer was honest and grounded. He said that when you are not playing, you consider all possibilities, but he always had in mind playing for Manchester United and continuing to develop at the club where he grew up. That sentence is everything. This is a player who was born into this club, who feels it, who even when marginalised chose to stay and fight for his place rather than run. The evidence suggests that Kobbie Mainoo has the mental foundation of a player who can have a very long and successful career at Old Trafford. He also spoke about Erik ten Hag with genuine warmth and appreciation. He described ten Hag as the manager who launched his professional career, who gave him the chance to be the player he is, and for whose trust he remains grateful. That kind of public acknowledgement shows real character from a young man who could easily have said nothing. Bruno Fernandes and squad confidence. Bruno Fernandes has spoken about his own level this season, and his words are worth paying attention to. When asked whether he considers himself an elite creator, he did not deflect. He said clearly that he sees himself as a player who loves the game, who considers himself a great player because he has reached a high level, and who thinks he is a very good player. He then addressed the question of whether he is the best player in the Premier League. He said it is hard to say, but he acknowledged that he believes he has been one of the best players in the league this season, and that he has had a great campaign. He pointed to the Football Writers Association Award as recognition from people who watch the game closely, and he acknowledged there are other players in that category. But it was him who was chosen. What this tells you is simple. Fernandez is playing with confidence. He is not arrogant. He is not dismissing competitors. But he is not hiding from his own quality either. That combination of self-belief and self-awareness is exactly what a captain and leader needs to project. It filters through to the rest of the squad. When your best player is carrying himself with that kind of grounded confidence, it sets a standard. Mason Mount also spoke publicly this week, and his comments about Benjamin Sesko were striking in their level of enthusiasm. Mount called Sesko unbelievable in the air, praised his hold-up play, his finishing ability, and his technical quality in cutting inside and striking the ball without needing a large backlift. Mount described himself as a big fan of Sesko, both as a player and as a person. Now, this is simply a player commenting on another player, but when a Manchester United player speaks that enthusiastically about a striker in the current market, during a summer window when the club is known to be looking at attacking options, it does register. It is worth noting, transfer market, Shima Viga, and the summer targets. Now let's move into the transfer business, because this is where things start to get genuinely interesting. Eduardo Camavinga is actively looking to leave Real Madrid this summer. This is the situation as it stands. The 23-year-old French international wants a move to the Premier League, and Manchester United alongside Liverpool are both showing strong interest in the player. Camavinga's frustration stems largely from being left out of Didier Deschamps' France squad for this summer's World Cup in North America. That is a significant psychological blow for any player at his level. When you combine that disappointment with a desire for a new challenge and a Premier League move firmly in his thinking, you have a player who is genuinely motivated to make this transfer happen. This is a rumour at this stage. It is not confirmed. It is not done. But the interest from Manchester United appears genuine, and the player's desire to leave appears equally genuine. Whether that combination turns into a signed contract is something we will be watching very closely. There is also the question of where Camavinga fits within Carrick's evolving squad and system. He is a technically gifted, high-energy midfielder with Champions League experience at the very highest level. His ability to contribute on both sides of the ball makes him an attractive option for a manager who has spoken about continuing to move in a positive direction. Now let us turn to the left-back situation, because there is a specific conversation happening around that position. The question being asked by journalists and analysts close to the club is whether Manchester United will sign a left-back this summer. The situation depends significantly on how the club view Patrick Dorgu's future role under Michael Carrick. Dorgu has been deployed as a winger rather than as a left-back. That creates a gap. The question becomes whether Manchester United seek to replace Malaika at left-back as an alternative to the injured Luke Shaw, or whether they see Dorgu as capable of covering that position and instead pursue a left winger to rotate with Cunha. The current assessment from well-placed observers is that left-back is the more likely position they address in the summer window. Neco Williams is another name being mentioned in connection with Manchester United. The Nottingham Forest fullback has impressed significantly this season, demonstrating the ability to play effectively on both flanks. Manchester United are among the clubs keeping close tabs on his situation. Aston Villa, Newcastle United and Everton have also made inquiries. This is a rumour at this stage, but the fact that Forest are now preparing a new contract offer in an attempt to fend off growing interest in the 25-year-old tells you the competition for his signature is real. When clubs start rushing to offer new contracts, it is because they know the player is being watched. Mateus Fernandes and the £70 million question. Now we come to one of the most serious and expensive transfer conversations involving Manchester United this summer. Mateus Fernandes at West Ham United. The situation is this. West Ham are growing increasingly confident that they can command a fee in the region of £70 million for their 21-year-old Portuguese midfielder. Manchester United have been monitoring Fernandes closely for much of this season and are genuine admirers of the player. However, Manchester United are far from alone in that admiration. Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester City have all made inquiries regarding Fernandes' situation in recent weeks. Paris Saint-Germain are also tracking him from across Europe. This is not a quiet, straightforward pursuit. This is a full-scale auction waiting to happen. The evidence suggests West Ham's stance is rooted in genuine confidence rather than blind optimism. Fernandez arrived from Southampton in a deal worth just over £40 million last summer. He is 21 years old and has demonstrated composure in possession, athleticism, tactical intelligence, and the ability to dictate play from the centre of midfield, all in a difficult West Ham season near the bottom of the Premier League table. West Ham's position internally is a strong one. They have made clear that even if relegation occurs, anyone coming for Fernandez is buying a Premier League calibre player, not a Championship one. His performances speak for themselves, and they believe the market for young, proven midfielders in English football heavily favours the seller. The question for Manchester United is whether £70 million is a fee they are willing to match, especially when players like Camavinga, Williams and others are simultaneously on the radar. Budget decisions will define this summer more than any single signing. If Fernandez is the priority, then Manchester United need to commit to that price. If they cannot or will not reach that number, the likes of Arsenal or Manchester City could move quickly. Jonathan Rowe in the Chelsea rivalry. There is another winger in the conversation for Manchester United this summer, and his name is Jonathan Rowe. The 23-year-old English winger is currently performing impressively in Serie A for Bologna, contributing important goals and assists despite a challenging campaign for the Italian club. Chelsea appear to be the most determined suitors at this stage. The London club have placed Rowe on their list of targets and view him as a young, dynamic attacker capable of adding real quality and unpredictability to their forward line. But Manchester United are also in the mix. Scouts from Old Trafford have been regularly present to watch Rowe in action this season. Bologna value Rowe at around £40 million and are reluctant to sell unless a substantial offer arrives. His contract runs until 2029, so there is no desperation on the club's side. Marseille also retain a 10% sell-on clause from his previous move. For Rowe personally, a return to the Premier League, which he has described as the best league in the world, represents a significant career step. It would also boost his chances of breaking into England's senior squad. Those ambitions align with a move to either Chelsea or Manchester United. The reality for Manchester United in this race is that Chelsea are currently leading. The Blues have placed him as a priority option and have done extensive scouting work. If Manchester United want Rowe, they need to move with genuine commitment and a competitive offer. Otherwise, Chelsea simply steps in and closes this deal before the summer is over. Jamie Carragher, Casemiro, and the record correct. This story deserves attention, not because of what it says about the transfer market, but because of what it says about how this Manchester United squad has been perceived and analysed from the outside. Jamie Carragher has publicly revisited his famous comments about Casemiro, the ones in which he advised the Brazilian to leave football before football left him. He has now partly walked those comments back. His position now is that calling Casemiro Finnish was too harsh and too premature. He acknowledged that the implication of those words was stronger than intended. His argument at the time was that Casemiro would be better off heading to the MLS or accepting offers from Saudi Arabia because he would never again reach the heights he achieved at Real Madrid. But Carragher also defended his original analysis in one respect. He said that in 2024, Casemiro was unfit, lacked the physicality and athleticism to cope with quicker and sharper opponents, and was exposed when used in a deeper midfield role or at centre-back. He pointed specifically to that night at Selhurst Park as an example. His conclusion now is more nuanced. He said that because of Casemiro's stellar career, it was natural to hold him to the extraordinarily high standards he set for himself. When Casemiro called the comments disrespectful, Carragher said that was fair, and he accepted it, while maintaining that no disrespect was intended. The evidence from Carragher's revised statement suggests that the player's response was enough to make him reconsider the harshness of his framing. That is not a full retraction, but it is a significant acknowledgement that elite players deserve to be judged with greater precision than blanket dismissals allow. Let me bring all of this together for you now, because there is a clear picture emerging from everything we have discussed today. Michael Carrick is staying. That foundation is now set. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has approved it. The contract is ready. The coaching staff is being strengthened with the addition of a dedicated set-piece coach. The ambition is clear and publicly stated. Matthijs de Ligt is recovering from surgery. The road back will take time, but his commitment to Manchester United remains total. Kobbie Mainoo has shown the mental resilience of someone who genuinely belongs at a top club. He stayed when leaving would have been easier. He grew when others might have collapsed. Bruno Fernandez is playing with the quiet confidence of a genuine elite performer. And in the transfer market, the summer is not yet open, but the battle lines are already being drawn. Camavinga is pushing to leave Real Madrid, Mateus Fernandes could cost £70 million. Jonathan Rowe is a target in a straight race with Chelsea. Neco Williams is being watched from several directions. And the left-back position needs addressing regardless of how Dorgu's role evolves. This is a Manchester United that is building with intention. The decisions made between now and the end of the summer window will determine whether that intention translates into genuine progress on the pitch. The situation is complex. The finances are real. The competition for players is fierce. But the direction under Michael Carrick, backed by Ratcliffe's ownership at the highest level, is pointing forward. And that, for the first time in a long time, is actually something worth watching. If you found this analysis useful, hit the subscribe button on Marcus United Analyst. Every week, we go deeper than the headlines to give you the real picture of what is happening at Manchester United. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on which of these signings you believe the club should prioritise. The discussion is always better when you are part of it. Until next time. This is Marcus, and this is Manchester United.